Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for The Americans Season 2, Episode 8, New Car. And, oh my god, this is The Americans that I love. I mean, last week's episode, I feel like it was good, but it was kind of pointless. You know, the whole ARPANET thing was kind of pointless. It didn't really go anywhere. And it didn't go anywhere in this episode. They did not continue anything with it. We didn't see anything with Charles or anything like that. So, that whole thing was pointless last week. This episode, however, was amazing. It really was a big... I feel like this episode was definitely one of the big game changers of the season. There was a lot that happened in this episode, a lot that I'm really looking forward to for the rest of the season. And the season's almost over, believe it or not. There's only 5 episodes left. Wait, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 5 episodes left. So definitely we're really getting to that intense part of the season. And I cannot wait for the rest of the episodes. So... let's just get to this recap, because again, I love this episode. I loved everything about it, and it was just, it was definitely the best episode of the season. So, Clark and Martha are in bed together, and Martha says that now that she and Clark are together, she doesn't want to be involved in his office's operation. She basically doesn't want to get into another fight, so she's just doing whatever she can to not get into another fight. She doesn't, you know, but Clark tells Martha that she can't ask him to choose between his country and her. He just can't do that. So Philip and Henry are heading to a car Chevrolet dealership, and Philip climbs into a Camaro, checks it out, and Henry thinks it's awesome because it was the same car, kind of car used in the Indy 500 race. And then a very funny scene, I found this kind of funny actually, you know, they're in the car, they got this song, Rock This Town, playing. I actually like that song, but they're just like cruising down to their house, and Elizabeth comes out of the driveway, and she's in shock, basically. And I love the line where Philip's like, well, at least I didn't buy a plane. I thought that was kind of funny, a funny way to start the episode, because obviously Philip didn't tell Elizabeth he was getting this new car, but, you know, I thought that was kind of funny, personally. I just like that part. I don't know what it was. But Elizabeth is giving Philip the cold shoulder for buying the car. He tells her it's okay to like the car and the house and the fancy shoes she wears once in a while. And she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't like American things. That's the thing. They had this whole conversation. I actually really liked it. You know, he said, you know, basically, she just lives like this because she has to, but he tells her it's better. She's like, no, it's easier. It's, you know, it's more, safe, but it's not better. I don't like American things. It's not better. It's where it's better is where, you know, where we actually come from. And I thought that was actually a very interesting conversation that they had. I thought that was probably one of the most interesting conversations of the episode, and I really enjoyed the whole conversation. Even though I thought that scene in the beginning was funny, I mean, I can understand where Elizabeth's coming from, definitely. So, Lucia sneaks into Larig's house, shoots him in the back with a dart. He pulls it out, turns around, and she informs that it isn't lethal. He attacks her, and she shoots herself in the leg with the same type of dart. So again, they're still trying to figure out what to do with Lucia. You know, Elizabeth receives a phone call, and basically they're just trying to figure out what to do with her, because she's heading to kill Larig, and Larig's heading off to Nicaragua. They know she's not going to be able to kill Larig, so they don't know what's going to happen to her, or to them. And Elizabeth receives a phone call, then puts on her disguise, heads to Larig's house, and right away we get an amazing scene. You know, I thought this was amazing. He answers the door. He's not happy. He lets Elizabeth in and shows her Lucia, and he has her tied up in his kitchen. She's like completely tied up, and he says he wants to trade his freedom for her life, and he won't kill Lucia as long as the Russians let him off the hook and can be done working for them. So, you know, Larig agrees to help Elizabeth get into the marshal's camp, and then he is done. There's a hand signal and a password in order to get into the camp, but they haven't been released yet. And Elizabeth tells him to get her the signals and the reports from Nicaragua, and they will never see him again. So, Larig unties Lucia, then she grabs a corkscrew, tries to stab him right away, and, he grabs her, puts her in a chokehold, and Elizabeth wants to do something. She's about to pull her gun on him. You know, she's about to shoot Larig. But Larig tells Elizabeth it's either him or Lucia. And, Elizabeth just thinks, you know what, Lucia's trying to kill Larig anyway. She was gonna end up dead anyway. We were probably gonna kill her, so why don't she just lets her die, basically. She gives Larig her blessing to kill Lucia, and once Lucia stops breathing, Larig drops her to the floor, tells Elizabeth he will give the signals to her, but she needs to get Lucia's body out of his house. And I thought that was actually a really interesting scene, because I think Elizabeth is basically thinking in her head, if I don't kill Lucia, it could end up, if I kill Larig and not Lucia, it could be a really bad thing, because Lucia's already killed one innocent person. We don't know for sure that this is the guy that murdered Leanne and Emmett, so how do we know that this guy, maybe we can trust this guy, and if we don't kill this guy, maybe we can work out something with him. So I definitely thought that was very interesting. So, Philip arrives home. So then a family arrives in their house with their suitcase. They've obviously been out of town, and they find Henry sleeping on their couch with the television blaring. And we get to see more of that, why, Henry snuck out and things like that in this episode. So Philip arrives home, and his neighbors Bob and Christy are staying in his living room. Elizabeth fills him in and tells him that Henry broke in to their house while they were gone to play video games. And Philip apologized profusely and says it will never happen again. And after their neighbors leave, Elizabeth tells Philip that Larig killed Lucia, and Philip wants to go get revenge on Larig, but Elizabeth explains that she was there and she let him do it. So she's basically saying, just forget about it, don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine. Philip meets his handler Kate the next day. She fills him in on 2 companies that are competing to create invisible planes while invisible to radar, and she tells him that a submarine went down and they lost 160 men, and it was faulty because of a propeller. The Americans initially planted plans to build family submarines, knowing that the Russians would steal them. This is all true. This happened in real life. I always love it when the Americans does things that actually happened during the Cold War. I always love when they do historical events like that. It's very well done. So Philip is devastated. He heads home, and Elizabeth reveals that Larig sent her the signals to get into camp. He tells Elizabeth that the plans they stole were fake, and they snuck their own submarine with them. So Elizabeth and Philip receive the signals from Larig. They kidnap a driver named Lewis. They steal his truck so that they can get onto the camp tomorrow. Just a really intense scene here. Basically Lewis is he's tied up. They ask him where he parks, and he's in the woods. Basically, he's stranded in the woods right now, and they're talking to him. They ask him where he parks when he drives into camp, and who his replacement is supposed to be when he doesn't go to work. And I kind of like the way they did it. They're kind of like, don't worry, Lewis. Lewis is basically screaming. He doesn't know what they're going to do to him, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to do anything bad to you, don't worry, it's all going to be okay, we just need to know this information, and then we'll be fine. And, the very end of the episode, this last scene of the episode, this was amazing. I love this last scene, I love the way they end this episode, it was so well done. They finally confront Henry about, breaking into the neighbor's house, and he's crying, and whoever plays Henry, I don't know who the actor is that plays Henry, but the little boy that plays Henry, this was by far his best scene. I loved this scene from him. He knows he's done wrong. He says, he keeps saying, I'm not a bad person, I'm not a bad person. He hates everyone, thinks he's a criminal, and he says, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, and it's really sad, because he knows he's done wrong, but at the same time, it's just like, he's an innocent little kid, and it's really sad that he got himself involved with this, and I just thought that scene right there was amazing. I'm really wondering where that's going to go from there, but I guess we'll just have to see, but I'm not really sure where that's going to go. It does look like there's going to be more with this Lewis guy, because in the promo for the next episode, we see that, there's going to be like a fight next episode, and it's going to be really intense in the next episode, so I'm interested in seeing where that's going to go. But that whole scene right there was amazing. That was by far, Henry's, whoever plays Henry, that was his best scene of the whole show so far. Definitely his best acting scene. Again, no Paige in this episode. I don't know where Paige is, but I kind of like this whole thing that's going on with Henry. Let's go to Stan and Oleg and Arcady and, Stan and Oleg, Arcady, and Nina, sorry. Oh, by the way, we did get a little thing with the ARPANET. Anton was in a faculty in Russia being lectured by Vasily, the leader of the operation. Vasily gave him the box that Phil copied the ARPANET onto last episode, and then he apologized to Anton because he knew he misses his family in America. That's all we got, though, with Anton. So basically, Stan meets Oleg at an arcade, and he wants Oleg to guarantee to him that Nina won't get hurt or discovered by his people before he hands over his flies. And Oleg says he has no interest in anyone getting hurt. And Nina meets Stan, and Stan tells her that he gave Oleg the files. And Nina's an amazing actress. She acts distraught cries to Stan about what they are going to do, and she tells Stan that she's scared that the FBI is going to find her out. She really is a great actress, because the thing is that Nina, this whole time, we know she does not give a shit about Stan or anything, but she's acting all distraught and everything, and she's doing such a great job pretending that she actually cares about Stan. I mean, I don't know what's going to end up happening with her, but definitely she's doing a great job with that. So Stan declares to his boss that he's going after Oleg, but he needs the code, and he thinks that they should kill Oleg. Now, as I said, I think Oleg is going to end up dead by the end of this season. So I'm not surprised that Stan wants to kill Oleg. I mean, the whole reason that Oleg is working with Stan is so he can get information about Stan to give to Nina. That's the whole reason he's doing this. So I'm starting to think that Stan's becoming a little bit suspicious of Oleg. I don't know if he's becoming suspicious of Nina, because she's just doing such a great job with that, but he's definitely becoming suspicious of Oleg. So Arkady congratulates Oleg and Nina on their work with Stan. He's impressed, and afterwards he invites Nina to go dancing with him at a disco. And Nina says she can't be seen in public with him, but Oleg does not see why. So Stan visits the president, and he says he thinks that the Soviets kidnapped the scientists to work on their projects, and he needs to DOD passwords to get clearance, and investigates it. And then the very end, basically, Arkady discusses the sunken submarine with Oleg. He doesn't think they should steal the Americans' invisible plane plans, but the Americans will probably plant faulty plane plans, and the Russians' planes would fall out of the sky. So they, found out about the whole submarine thing. They don't like the idea of it, but that was basically their plot, and that was the episode. And I thought it was an amazing episode. There's a lot of things that I really loved about this episode. One of the things that I definitely loved about this episode was, I love the whole thing with not knowing what's going to happen with Henry. I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen there. I love that we got a lot more with Henry in this episode. I thought Henry is probably the one character this season that hasn't done too much until now. Paige has done some stuff in this season, but not Henry. Henry has just kind of been helping out Paige and things like that, but I like seeing that Henry did have something to do, and I definitely like seeing that. Also, I don't know what's going to happen with this Lewis guy, but again, it looks like next week, really intense episode next week. I don't know what's going to happen, but really intense episode. And also, I take back what I said about that handler Kate not being a very reliable source, because it seemed like she knew what she was talking about in this episode. Also, is Stan going to be able to kill Oleg? I'm wondering, how this is all going to work. In order for Stan to do this, he needs to find out that Nina actually cares about Oleg. And I'm thinking that, the only way to do that, to kill Oleg, is he needs to find out that everything that Nina's doing is a lie. He needs to find that out, because Nina's lying about everything at this point. She doesn't give a shit about Stan. She cares about Oleg and Arkady, but she wants nothing to do with Stan, but yet she's acting like she does care. So, in order to kill Oleg, he needs to find out the truth about everything. Because again, Oleg is there to find out truth about Stan, and Stan is just, he wants to kill Oleg. And I don't know if he wants to kill Arkady as well, but I'm thinking he is going to try to kill Arkady, because does he know about Arkady? I'm not really sure. But I have a feeling that since we're getting close to the end of the season, again, I think Oleg is probably going to die, because Stan's the main character. Obviously, Stan's not going to die, and Stan is our central villain, so I don't think Stan is going to die. Stan's our central villain of the show. I don't think Stan's gonna die. I think probably Nina or Oleg is gonna die. I think it's gonna be one of them. Arkady, I don't know what's gonna happen to him. I don't even know if Stan knows too much about Arkady, but I think Arkady's pretty safe right now of what's gonna happen to him. Also, Larig. Do you think not killing Larig was a good thing for Philip and Elizabeth? Do you think they did the right thing in killing Lucia? Or is Larig going to come after them later? I'm not sure if Larig is going to come after them or not, because I kind of feel like not killing Larig is a bad thing, because for all they know, he could have killed Emmett and Leanne. That doesn't seem like to be a big deal anymore, but yet still, he could come after them and Paige and Henry. That's the whole reason why they're trying to figure this out, because they're terrified. they're terrified of what could happen to their children. So, obviously, they're going to do whatever they can to get him to not come after them. And I'm not sure if Larig is going to come after them, but I'm really not sure at this point. But I guess we'll just have to see what happens there. But overall, this was an amazing episode. I loved everything about this episode. This is by far the best episode of the season because a lot of amazing stuff happened. You know, now Lucia's dead. Larig is free. They send him to Nicaragua. This Lewis guy, I don't know what's going to happen with Lewis, if we're going to see him again. But I guess we'll just have to see. Now this their submarine is sunk, so that's not a good thing. Stan's going after Oleg. He wants to kill Oleg. Nina has to cover up the fact that she's in love with Oleg. And just a lot of stuff is going on, and I love every minute of it. And also Henry, you know, finally confessed that he's a good person, and he didn't mean to do what he did, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen to Henry. But again, this episode was amazing. I loved everything about it. Perfect episode. Nothing wrong with it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. What do you think's going to happen now? Again, we have 5 episodes left, so whatever happens in these 5 episodes is going to be amazing. I have a feeling that it's just going to get more amazing from here. And again, yeah, so this episode was great. Loved it so much. Best episode of the season by far. And let me know what you guys saw this episode. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of the Vampire Diaries, which is going to be amazing, I'm sure. And I'll see you guys for that. Bye.